and he shut that conversation down in 5 seconds flat. Did you notice that, you guys? That's the type of husband Tyler is. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If I look super bright, it's because it's snowing outside right now. And by the way, I'm wearing all NYX products on my face today, just testing out something a little different, a little new. Anyway, let's jump into this Teen Mom OG episode 14 recap. The show started off with Tyler and Caitlyn bitching about their reno on their new house, so let's skip that and jump into the next scene, which was Taylor taking little Benny out tuck shopping for Taylor and Macy's upcoming wedding, which we know happened just a few months ago. So it's really exciting that this made it into the show so quickly, you know? The two of them looked absolutely adorable together. It's so amazing seeing how much time and love Taylor puts into Bentley, especially considering the fact that his own father, Ran, always looks so bothered by him or just so like neutral to him, crazy eyes aside. When Taylor makes it back to the house, Macy tells him that she'd love to have Ran and his new girlfriend over for dinner at some point, just so that they have, like, you know, met each other and know what to expect in this relationship going forward. I thought it was really big of Macy and really mature and nice of her. Taylor also was on board with it. The only thing I will say though is that it must be so like awkward for Macy to constantly have to meet these new women in Ran's life, right? Like, what number is this chick? Like, is she number 5 or 6 in the 6 years that we've known Ryan? Like, he goes through women like some people go through tissue paper, and it's crazy. Back in Indiana, Gary is exhausted because he's had to take care of Emily and Leah pretty much by himself for the first time because his wife Christina's other daughter is sick, and so she's been in the hospital with her, like, you know, for long stretches of time. His mom comes over and he tells her that he asked Amber to watch Leah for a day because, you know, he's exhausted and stuff like that. But then he tells her that he doesn't want Amber to have Leah overnight because he worries that she won't get her to school on time, and Leah's about to be, you know, what is it, a perfect attendance record for 2 years in a row, and it's really important to her, and that's why Gary's concerned about having her come back home. And I thought that was such a sweet dad moment for him, which at the same time reflected really poorly on Amber, the fact that Gary can't trust her to get Leah to school on time, especially considering the fact that she sits around on a couch all day. She should be able to get her own daughter to school on time, so that's really embarrassing for the world to see. The scenes between Farrah and her mom have reached peak, like, cringeworthy. At some point, Farrah is out like doing gardening stuff, and then her mom comes out to help her, and literally Deb says one word, Farrah's already flipped, and it's like, no one can live like this. How the hell does this happen? It's just so bizarre, and like, I don't know what to explain it as, you guys. Like, what the hell is Farrah's personality called? Because it's highly unusual. At some point, Farrah like kept accidentally hitting her mom with the tree in the face, and you know, her mom was like, Farrah, you're hitting me in the face. And instead of just apologizing like, oh, I'm sorry, because if the roles were flipped and Deb was accidentally hitting Farrah in the face even just once, Farrah would have flipped her shit and like kicked her out or something like that. But in this time, Farrah was hitting her mom in the face with a tree, and instead of just apologizing, she's like, you know what, get out of my way, go inside if you can't like participate in this like a normal person. Oh my goodness. And of course, Deb goes inside, and Deborah really needs to learn to stand up to her daughter. Like, you are not Farrah's child, Deborah. She might be paying for your, you know, liquid facelifts, but you are not her child. You need to put her in her damn place, because there is something seriously wrong with the way that she speaks to people. So when Deborah gets banished to the kitchen where she's eating her salad yet again, she starts crying to producer Heather about the way Farrah treats her, and she was like, I'm just tired of not being loved. And it was really, really sad. But at the same time, like a lot of you guys think as well, this isn't coming from nowhere, probably, more likely than not. Something had to have happened at some point, and it's really scary to think about what it could have been. And, you know, seeing the way Deborah behaved even last episode, where she wouldn't even acknowledge things that were documented as true, really makes you wonder if they'll ever get to the root cause of this. So back in the kooky world of Ryan Edwards, he is in his living room with his new girlfriend. Let's just say this man has not aged well at all. He used to be so hot, you guys, and now here he is, like, his eyes were still buggy and crazy and darty like this, and you know, his hair was like all like just disgusting looking, like moppy or whatever in gray, and just he has not been taking care of himself one bit, and it shows. So he is reading the text to his girlfriend about Maci inviting them over for dinner, and you know, he was actually surprised that his girlfriend was on board with it. He said that any other of his exes would have been pissed off at him and accused him of wanting to screw Maci during the trip at some point. And you know, it really goes to show what happens when you date people who are also parents. They can understand your situation a lot better. The scene where Tyler and his mom go out for lunch was one of my favorites of the whole entire episode because Tyler truly showed his ass. So first of all, the two of them are trying to pick out food on a menu and they don't even know what gorgonzola is. Talk about new money. So at some point his mom calls him out for not really accomplishing all that much. She's like, Tyler, you start so many different projects and you never really finish any of them. And then Tyler goes, story of my life. And so Kim presses a little further. She's like, you know what, like, honestly, I think you sometimes deflect your own stuff behind Kate's depression. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're focusing too much on Kate's depression and not really focusing on the things that, you know, you have or haven't been doing. And, you know, normally when Tyler goes out with his mom to talk with her, he is so excited. Like he talks so quickly, she can't get a word in edgewise because the conversation is always about Caitlyn's problems and how Caitlyn is lazy or depressed or whatever. But here Kim is telling Tyler, you know what? I think there's something up with you as well, because when we look at your life, there's really not that much to show for much of anything outside of MTV. And he shut that conversation down in 5 seconds flat. Did you notice that, you guys? That's the type of husband Tyler is. He could talk days and days and days about your problem, but the minute it's time to talk about his own problems, it's check please, let's go. Good luck, Caitlyn. Next, there is a scene of Amber that I think was actually recycled from a few weeks ago when she first talked about wanting to lose weight. Did you notice she's wearing the same blue shirt? Her hair is still just as wet as it was in that scene a few weeks ago. And Matt, I'm pretty sure, was wearing the same outfit too. And I'm further convinced that they recycled a scene because when they said that later that day they went to go pick up Leah from school, they both changed outfits. Who changes outfits just to go do something a couple of hours later, right? So anyway, the two of them take her out to the park and with ice cream, and Christina calls them to let them know that she's going to be picking up Leah later on. Amber thought for some reason that she was going to have Leah overnight, and you know, that just turned out not to be the case. And yet again, here we see a teen mom talking to their children about something that they should be talking to their ex-partner about instead. You don't go to your child and be like, oh, would you like to sleep over here? Because I'll ask dad. You know, especially knowing that you probably already know what the answer to that's going to be, and you're just going to lead her to be disappointed or to think that, you know, her dad is mean or something like that. I thought that was really unfair to Leah. And so anyway, and during the exchange, I thought it was classic Amber. The way she treats Leah sometimes is so like odd, like she's like some kind of robot who's supposed to follow her script. So like, for example, they were both eating ice cream, and you know, instead of just like letting Leah hug her goodbye like Leah wanted to do, Amber's like, kiss me on the mouth. I was like, you're eating ice cream, that's gross and sticky. Like she doesn't want to. Like she's old enough to say, listen, I don't want to kiss you on the mouth no more. You know, especially considering the fact that you are kissing geriatric deadbeats all day. Like stop. You know, let's just hug. You know, let's just hug and be friends so I can go about my merry way to my daddy's house. And so Amber forced Leah to kiss her on the mouth, and then later on, as Leah's leaving, Amber was trying to force her to tell her that she loves her. So she's like, what do you say? What do you say? And so Leah's like, love you. Like, you know, you don't have to kiss on the mouth and say you love each other all the damn time. You know, kids go through their moods too where they just don't feel like doing these things. I feel like her saying goodbye and hugging her should have been enough. But of course, Amber had to have her way or the highway in that situation. And it just goes to show like how controlling she is. And you know what? The last thing I'm going to say about that scene is the show being called Teen Mom during that scene in particular was super jarring, considering the fact that Amber, Matt, and Christina all do not look a day under 35. And I was like, what's the show called again, Teen Mom? We're not done yet? These people look old as hell. Anyway, back in Maci's world, her and Taylor and Ryan and his girlfriend and Bentley all get together for a dinner. It goes super well. They talk about it a little bit later, talk about how it's great for Bentley and how they should do it a little bit more often. And we also found out that, like Leah, Bentley has been playing his parents like a fiddle here and there, telling each one of them that the other agreed to allow him to play a certain, you know, video game. And the only thing I was wondering in that scene was that if you both are claiming to not give him permission to play this game, who gave him the game? right? Back in Texas, Farrah and Deborah go out to a spa together, and yet again it just turns into a blowout fight over absolutely nothing. Deborah literally just told Farrah, hey, I'm gonna be gone for 2 days to just, you know, do some stuff, and Farrah flipped out at her. It was like, you know what, F this. You know, there are no words for the situation anymore. It's just effed up all the way around. And then back in Macy's world, she and her bridesmaids go out to the wedding boutique, whatever, and she tries on her dress in front of them, which looked absolutely beautiful on her. She looks so amazing 3 kids later, one of them being like under 1 year old, for F's sakes. Like, give it up to her. Her post-baby body is always on point. Like, she is so blessed to be able to just let weight drop off of her like that. And I really love the dresses that she picked up for her bridesmaids as well. And then back in Texas again, Farrah debuts a super duper like fried blonde hair look on her that looked absolutely awful in conversation with Simon in her backyard. He tells her straight up, like, listen, Farrah, I think you and your mom need to reevaluate the way you communicate with each other, because it's just so bad, and especially in public places, you come off like really trashy and low class the way you guys speak to each other, which is 100,000% correct. But Farrah, of course, will not take responsibility for any of it. She's like, you know what? It's my mom's fault. They raised me this way. You know what? I've been trying to go to therapy with them, but they don't change. And you know what? I'm going to try it one more time. And if they don't change the way they behave, then I'm not speaking to them anymore. And it was like, eye roll galore. Farrah, newsflash, you need your parents more than they will ever need you. Trust that. They're the ones who watch your child for you. You know, even when you moved away to Florida to get away from her to do your own little thing. So don't even try acting brand new about what they do for you. They're the ones who work for you, probably for free, on your stores. Your dad wore that little stupid Froco costume up and down the streets for you. Your mom is helping you price and itemize your furniture store, and she helped you a lot with Froco as well. And you're talking about, oh, I'm going to kick them out of my life. What do you contribute to their lives but stress and verbal abuse, honestly? Anyway, back in Indiana, Amber is speaking to a producer about her upcoming mommy makeover. She refuses to say what exactly she's going to get redone, which I thought was a great example to Kale and Brianna's sister, of what can happen when you actually pay for surgeries with your own money. You don't have to live with the image of your naked before and afters and like all these TMI details of what you've gone to get done on the internet for life, for your kids' cousins, your kids' schoolmates, and everybody in the world to see, when you just pay with your own damn money. So I thought that was a great little moment for Amber. But then she ruined it later when she was like, you know what, like, I think this can help me with my depression, because, you know, a lot of my depression stems from how I feel about my body, which I think is a little troubling. I thought that she probably should have seen a therapist for that before going under the knife, because I think something like that is from the inside out, not the outside in. But what do I know? I'm just a vlogger. She also went on to say that her depression left her bedridden for 3 weeks, but what she forgot to mention, quote unquote forgot, was the fact that during these 3 weeks that she claimed to have been so depressed she couldn't leave anywhere or see her daughter, which she didn't see her for these 3 weeks, she was able to, at the drop of a dime, get out of bed and support Matt down in New York City, where he was going to be, you know, talking about promoting his new book. Wow. Really, Amber? Really? Anyway, like I said, I didn't mention too much about Caitlyn and Tyler because their whole story was about renovating the second house that we do not care about. And what I did forget to mention actually was how full of life Caitlyn looked this episode. I was so happy to see her back to almost like completely her old self. Like, the light was back in her eyes. She was like out and about doing things. She was super attentive with Carly as well. Something else that I did notice about her, Carly and Tyler, was the, you guys, I keep accidentally saying Carly, and I'm sorry, Nova. She was super attentive to Nova. And one thing that I did notice about the three of them was at some point when they were in the backyard, Tyler was trying to talk to Caitlyn about renovations and costs. And she was like, just pay it, you know, like, we're going to need to get it done. Just pay it. And he just wanted to whine about it. And then little Nova starts walking somewhere. And so, like the attentive mom she is and should be, Caitlyn follows Nova over there just to see what she's talking about. And Tyler was like this, whoa. Like, Caitlyn's supposed to ignore her child to listen to him have a tantrum about something he's gonna need to buy regardless. You know what I mean? I was like, Tyler, your little bitchy self is showing full force this episode, and I am not missing it one bit. Like, calm down, sir. Anyway, you guys, that's it for this episode of Teen Mom OG. Next week is the finale episode. Then after that, it's the reunion we've all been waiting for. I'm excited to hear what you thought about everything in the comment section down below. And of course, as usual, we'll chat. You can also follow me across social media, like this video, subscribe for more, share it with your friends if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. That's all for now, and thank you so much for watching.